Black women. Big Black energy all 2024, and especially this month. Okay, hey everyone, it's Roshini, aka Glamazini, a Black woman healing. I create humor filled healing spaces so that other Black women can heal too. You're welcome. February, my theme for February, you guys, is relationships with ourselves and others. And today we are talking all about your relationship with yourself, personal awakenings, and how they can transform your life. Today's guest, Stephanie Perry, is one of my favorite humans. Hi, Stephanie. Before I have her introduce herself, let me get some housekeeping out of the way. Every month, I've started highlighting a Black female author. Boom. For February, I am highlighting Manage Your Time and Manage Your Life Purposely, Time Management 101 by Dr. Maunda Charles. Amen. She sent me this book a long time ago and I have not read it. However, the way my planning retreat tasks are set up, I am clocking through my book list and I will be reading this book. If you want to get this book by Dr. Charles, or if you are a Black woman author and you would like a chance to be highlighted, information on how to do that is in the information box of this video. Amen. I'm going to put my own right there. All right. Healing your relationship with yourself, personal awakenings, and transformation. Welcome, Stephanie. Could you introduce yourself to the people?
Thank you so much. Hi, friends. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, the co-creator of Exodus Summit, and I help Black women take a sabbatical or career break. I help Black women move abroad. I help Black women bop around the world as a nomad, all while embracing ease. I believe in doing as little as possible. But this is all new. So we're going to talk about that. This is a whole new life for me. I am a Black woman who did reinvent herself. After 40. I did start living a whole new life after 40. And so we're going to talk about some of that today. I'm so glad to be here.
Yay! You guys, I was just telling Stephanie off camera that I'm so happy that I was talking to her today because your girl got some information right before this call. And I was like, who am I talking to, Stephanie? I love me some Stephanie. Okay, so first thing I want to start with is, Stephanie, could you share your story with the viewing audience, okay, about specifically your journey from being a hospital pharmacy technician, right?
Yes.
All the way into your early 40s, and then basically blowing up your life and traveling the world on your savings. Could you share that story with the ladies?
Sure. When I was 40, I took a birthday vacation to Brazil for my 40th birthday, which was a whole thing with my job. I worked in the hospital. I worked night shift in the hospital pharmacy. And the getting of 5 or 6 days, consecutive days of vacation was just unheard of. They didn't give it to me. They gave me a couple, 3 days, and they were like, figure the rest out. And it was just one of the last straws, right? It was just a really frustrating thing. Like, I'm only working this job so I have money to travel, right? Like, I'll go live with my mom and dad in a heartbeat, right? I'm only here so I can afford to travel, and you're in the way. You're getting in the way of that. I was also in a very I was doing what I call magic number living, which was I was living for 65. I was just waiting until 65. And then I thought, I get to live my life. And so I was early middle-aged person, just waiting until I was a senior citizen so that I could really start living. And all of that together meant that I was miserable, right? I had too many hurdles in my way, including my own self. And I spent so much of my life just rehashing thinking about all of the things I didn't have. But for some reason, on my 40th birthday, when I went to Brazil and I was introduced to millennials and the way millennials think about things, and some millennial people, some other tourists in Brazil were like, you can just quit your job and travel and then get hired back. When that happened, it was just the right time for me to be willing to try my life a different way. I was convinced that I had to live my life in the work a lot now. And then when you're 65, you get to live. I was
Mm.
convinced that that was the only path. But then one day I found out that wasn't the only way to do things. And that changed everything. Then I knew that nothing was going to stop me from trying that at least one time. I was going to have at least 1 year of my adult life while I had a way to make money, while I had knees that bend, right? While I had a body that was on my side. I was going to take some time and see some places in the world that my job was trying to keep me from seeing, right? My job was really trying to hamper my dreams. And thankfully, I listened to some other people. I got some advice from some other people, and I listened to them, and that changed everything.
So your 40th birthday, you saved money, you
Yeah.
went on the trip, you met some millennials, and what did they tell you? And also, can you share? I've had Stephanie on my channel before, and I've heard this story, but I want her to share that the story you told me about calculating the
Mhm.
days until you hit 65.
Yeah, I used to come home from work every day. I would come home in the morning because I work night shift, come home every morning with a little calculator that I had absconded from the pharmacy. And I would calculate how many more of that exact same day was I going to have to live through until I get to live, right? How many more of these days do I need to survive until I get to live, right? My 65 retirement date. Truth be told, I was playing myself because I wasn't going to be able to retire at 65 anyway. It was going to have to
Why do
be
you say that?
7. Girl, I am not a saver. I was not the best investor. Okay. Really, I should have been calculating 67, 72. But anyway, I
Mm.
would calculate that every day. I would just sit down and look at the number, how many of this day. And then if it was a particularly hard day, like wintertime in a hospital is just awful. Well, that was before COVID, right? So then I'd be like, well, how many more wintertime days? Okay. And how many more slow, boring days? Okay. And how many more total days until I get to live, until I get to try some new things, see who I really am, see what I want, figure out what I want for myself. I used to do that, just sit there with my little calculator.
Okay, this is interesting to me, Stephanie, because I did something similar.
Ah.
And I'm sitting here wondering, why do we do that? Why do you think you were doing that? What made you go do something in your life that you knew was not a good fit? You knew was not aligned, but you did not feel like you could change it.
I I personally thought that it just had to be that way. I
Mhm.
didn't know a lot of people who did anything different. Even my dad, who retired pretty young, retired in his mid-50s, he still worked and worked and worked and worked till he could retire. So I just didn't know people who did it differently. What I thought what the dream that I had, right, deep, deep, deep down, just seemed so unrealistic, right? The dream of
And what was
traveling,
that dream?
I just wanted to see the world.
Mhm.
And it seemed impossible, unrealistic. Um, and I didn't have anybody who I could point to and be like, this, right? This is what I want, until I met those dudes in San Diego. So one was a waiter and one worked in HVAC, and they were brothers. And we stayed in the same hostel they're from San Diego, but I met them in Brazil. We stayed in the
Mhm.
same hostel in Brazil. And they were like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. All they said was, why are you here for what? How many days are you here for?
Mhm.
And I can't remember now if it was 5 days or 6 days. I was like, 6 days. And they were like, no, no, how many days, not just in this house, in this hostel, but how many days total in Brazil? I was
Mhm.
like, 6 days. In fact, I went to 2 locations in 6 days.
Mm.
And they were like, why would you do that? Why would you take all this time and effort? And back then you had to apply for a visa to go to Brazil. Americans had to apply for a visa and everything. They
Mm.
were like, why would you take all this time, come all this way? And it happened to be during the World Cup, right? When there's all this happening all over the country. Why would you do that for a 5 or 6 day vacation? Uh, we don't do that. They're like, you don't have to do that. You can actually travel long term on what you're spending on a short vacation. So I think they introduced me to the idea of the $40 a day travel budget, and then pointed me to YouTube. But that's pretty much all we talked about. That was pretty much it. That was enough for me to be like, oh, you don't need a trust fund to travel all the time? Okay, done, right? From then I knew I was going to figure it out. Once I met somebody who was doing it, right? So they were there for, I think, 3 months around Brazil. They had come up from the south, from, what is that, Argentina? They'd come up from Argentina and they'd hit some cities, Rio and some other cities, and they made their way finally to Salvador de Bahia, where we were.
Mhm.
And that was it. That was the extent of the conversation. That was just enough for me to be like, oh, me too. I'm doing this, right? I'm going to do it this way.
Okay, so you go on the trip,
Mhm.
you meet these 2 guys, they introduce you to this concept. You come back to exotic Dover, Delaware,
Yes.
and what happens next?
I watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos and got my calculator out and came up with the budget. I watched enough videos to know that I did like the idea, I watched enough videos to know that the way that those $40 a day travelers were traveling, I could travel like that too, right? Staying in hostels. This was before I knew about house sitting, but doing some work exchanges for people for free room and board when money got tight. I knew based on that I could pretty much do $40 a day. So I got out my calculator. First thing I did was, how much total money do I need? It was $14,400. And then then I started asking the calculator, well, where is that money going to come from? Right? Because your girl was not a saver or investor, right? So where's the money going to come from? So I started writing out places where I felt like I had a little bit of money. This was 2015, so I was still paying DirecTV, and I opened up the bill and found out I was paying them $100 a month. I thought I was paying them 60 some dollars a month. You know how automatic things happen, automatic bill pay plus the introductory offer, rope-a-dope tricked me. So next I figured out where am I going to find this money? What can I sell? What can I give up? And then how can I make more money? How can I work and make some more money so that I can get to this $14,400 figure? I also tried to figure out, when do I want to go? What kind of things do I want to visit around the world or in Asia? I was going to Southeast Asia. What do I want to visit in Southeast Asia? And that's what helped me time things, right? What festivals? What do I want to see? What are my screensavers? Really what it was these screensavers I have on my work computer, right? How do I get there for that? Right? Loy Krathong Festival, Thailand, they have these 2 festivals back to back, a Loy Krathong Festival and the Lantern Festival. And I want to see those things, the lanterns floating in the water, and then you let your own lantern up into the sky. I want to be there for that. So that means I need to be there by early October. Okay. So that's when I put my thing on the calendar and started working on getting the money together.
Okay, I love that because I had a similar thing with my trip to Saba. I had been wanting to go to this 1-mile private resort island my entire life.
Yes.
And I had pictures of it, and I was following their account, and I was sharing it one day, one day, one day, one day. And then all of a sudden, one day I was on my way to the British Virgin Islands and I was about to share the picture, and the voice in my head said, "Girl, you want to do that, go do that." So that's this, like, sometimes we don't even think about that. Okay.
Mhm.
So you
That's right.
save your money and you leave your job, and
Yeah.
now you are overseas. You went to, where'd you go to?
I went to Southeast Asia. I flew, my layover was in Japan, so I count that because I was in Japan for almost a full day. And then I flew into Malaysia. Yeah.
And
And
what happened when you were there? How long were you there? And what was your experience like being there after being a nighttime hospital technician in Dover, Delaware, and traveling to that part of the world by yourself, right? For the first time.
so I was there for a full year, 12 months. I left on September 21st and I came back September 26th of the next year, right? So just over 26 or 28, right? I made it. I stretched the money just right. I made it. Um, Everything was very foreign. Southeast Asia is very different, right? So everything was foreign. Everything was a challenge and a decision and it took a lot of brain power, a lot of computing of things. And it made me feel like I could do anything. I ended that year feeling like bring it on. I can take on anything. There's no problem that I can't figure out or solve. I had some experiences. One time in Malaysia, I put my luggage on the bus. I was going from one city to the next. I put my luggage on the bus. I go to get coffee. I come back and the bus is pulling off with my luggage. And your girl is also not that I'm not into exercise. I ran after that bus. I ran down an intercity bus. I ran that bad boy down, right? I've had some experiences. I had some strangers stop and invite me out to eat and go sit and have a meal with a total stranger, right? I'm like, if I can navigate these things, I can navigate anything. It really gave me like the power. It really gave me a sense of agency over my life that I hadn't had before. It really showed me that I'm the boss. I'm
Mhm.
the boss. Yeah. It changed everything.
Okay, so first of all, agency is one of my favorite words. It's part of my
Yes.
definition of joy. I
Yes.
came up with a definition a few years ago and it has not led me wrong. I feel like every Black woman who I have seen that realizes that she is in the driver's seat of her life
Yes.
also realizes that she has agency and options.
That's
And
right.
that's when the light comes on. Okay,
Yes.
I hear you describing two different Stephanies.
Uh-huh.
How did you? I love that you felt agency at the end of your trip.
Yeah.
How did you go from? Were you that type of person before? Previous Stephanie. I remember that you would call, you haven't mentioned it in this video, but you would tell me that you would call yourself sad Stephanie. So
Right.
how did sad Stephanie do that? Like how did you do that? How what was the transformation that you noticed that happened with you internally? Was there a transformation?
Some of it came from the planning or the hope, right? Once I had this hope that I could do this thing, that I could take a year and travel the world, which was really just one part of the world, right? Once I had a hope and like the first step towards a plan, um, things just started churning along, right? I'm not saying I didn't get fear and I'm not or feel fear, and I'm not saying that I didn't try to put the brakes on more than once, okay? But there's some that hope is power, right?
Mhm.
A little hope for something different, a little bit of a plan, a little bit of community. So around that time, I joined a Facebook community called Nomadness, where I got to see Black people traveling all the time. A little bit of community, a little bit of hope, a little bit of progress, and I just let it build. A thing that I'm not really good at understanding is compounding interest, but I think this was an example of compounded interest of you're not always starting from zero. You build on yesterday. In my life, I've been a person who just was always starting from zero. I always just blew everything up and start over, blow it all up and start over. Instead, at this point, I let today build on top of yesterday and the next and the next. And that gave me progress instead of me always feeling like I'm at zero. So hope, progress, community, those things they're the building blocks of the person I am today, right? Or maybe the dirt on sad Stephanie's grave. I don't know, right? But those are the things.
That's so interesting. I love that. It's like compounding interest of
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
So, okay, what I hear you saying is the previous version of you was hopeless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And those guys on your birthday trip gave you like an ember
Hmm.
of something.
Yeah.
And you took that ember and you kept building on it. And then it kept adding to your hope. So, okay, I love that. Okay, so my question then is, so you go on this trip
Yeah.
and you come back and you said you felt powerful, you felt
Mhm.
like you had agency. What
Yes.
other transformations did you experience during that
Well,
year?
this was the first time that so I've had points in my life where I didn't work. that's the thing that I do, right? I've had to, like, when I left the Army, I took a while to go back to work, right? I got $4,000 in my account. I'm not going to work until every penny is gone, right? So I've had transitional periods where I didn't work, but this was that year of not working, and even the time moving up to the year, right? The 15 months it took me to plan, plus the year it took me to execute it. That was the first time that I viewed myself as something other than a worker,
Mhm.
right? Even though, listen, I was never a hard worker. I was never a dedicated worker. I was never oh, let me get this promotion type of worker. Okay, I was never that.
So you
But
saying you're always miss do as little as possible.
as little as possible. Okay. There's no reward for doing the most. There's no reward, friends, for doing the most. There's none. Okay. And I've always peeped that. I've seen that. But I still did judge myself or view myself in that lens, right? By the work that I was doing or something. I didn't ever really take the time to figure out who I am as a person. Work was always the thing. Even being a night shift worker, there's like a I don't want to say a badge of honor, but like a sense of community that we felt about being night shift, right?
Mhm.
Every part of myself was through the lens of work. And my work it wasn't even work that I was like excited to do. It was just a job. But this was the first time that I saw myself as a whole person, and I saw that I could have a whole life, right? Not pharmacy technician Stephanie, not credit analyst Stephanie, not Army Stephanie. I was in the Army for, earlier. Not those things, just Stephanie. And during that year, I got to find out stuff about myself that I didn't know. I always knew I was a talker. I've always been a talker, but I didn't know that I liked people and that people liked me. I didn't know
Wait,
that.
what?
I didn't know that. I promise you, Roshini, I didn't know that. I thought that because I kept barriers and boundaries up, to move through the world.
Hmm.
Being a Black woman or a Black girl in Ohio was not fun, right? And so there were boundaries up, and there were, keeping people at arm's length. But during that time, I found out, hey, I actually like people. I am a people person. I am a people person, and people like me. And that was a lovely thing to wake up to in your 40s. It's kind of strange to be 40 and not know that about yourself, but I didn't know.
I don't think it's strange at all. I
Okay.
think that is actually quite common that many of us have not met ourselves yet. So you started answering my question. I was going to ask you, what did you discover about yourself? So one of them is that you said that you realized that you're a talker, that you
Uh-huh.
like people, and that other people like you.
Yeah.
What can you give me other things you discovered about yourself during that year,
Hmm.
especially surprising things?
So I've generally been well, the things are going south. I'm just going to burn it, right? This job is going south. Listen, I'm blowing this thing up, right? But I learned that I could uh, uh, overcome some sort of obstacle or adversity instead of just plunging into it and diving in and seeing
Mm.
how bad I can make it, right? I was a bridge burner, but instead I learned that I have a skill set. I still do like to burn some bridges now and then, but I learned that I could overcome overcome, right? Adjust or adapt to some things and then fix them instead of burning them. Because
Mm.
your travel plans, they're plans. They're suggested, they're suggestions, but things are going to go wrong when you're traveling like that long term. You're traveling in a place where you don't know anybody, where you don't speak the language. I learned that. I also learned that I'm willing to experiment with some things that I didn't know I was willing to experiment before. I've gone to places where I don't know what I ate. Okay, it's a food cart. We're outside. I'm in Vietnam. Everyone's sitting here eating. I'm just going to point at something. I still don't know what I ate, right?
Mm.
I've never been that kind of eater, right? Never been a super experimental person, but I know that I can do it. So I think maybe the biggest thing that I learned was that even the parts of me that I want to keep, they don't have to hold me back. They don't have to be borders. boundaries. They can be like a flexible thing, right?
Mhm.
So I do like that. I don't mind that I'm not an experimental eater. I like that about myself. If you have crab cakes on the menu, I'm ordering the crab cakes, right? I'm getting them, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a sandwich, if it's just a plain old crab cake, if they're big, if they're small, if they're broiled, if they're fried, I'm getting your crab
Mhm.
cakes, okay? I don't want to give that up. But there are times when I can flex that out a little bit. And I learned that I can do that. Even the parts of myself that I want to keep they're still just suggestions. They're just, it's just a suggestion.
That's amazing. Okay, so my next question would be, were you supported when you decided to do this? I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, you're a Black woman working a job in the medical field. You got a good job and you had a home. Did
Mhm,
you have a home?
I
Was
did.
it a house that you owned, like a mortgage?
I owned a home. It was a townhouse,
Townhouse, car,
car. Yep,
degree,
paid off
degree?
sob even, right?
I
Because
had a sob too.
I cared about what people.
I still have one out there. There's my old sob is still out there. I've had 2, yay, 2
Yes.
sob, and my
Okay.
license plate said snob on it,
Oh,
SNOB.
that's
I know. Anyway,
adorable.
okay. So you had the sob, which was like the little status symbol. Did you degree?
Kind of. So I went
Kind
to
of?
many colleges.
Many? Okay.
I got the credits. I don't think Delaware State University conferred my degree upon me.
Mhm.
We had a little beef. Okay.
Okay.
There was some beef, but I kind of have the degree.
Okay. So you were what most Black women are told to strive for. You had
Sure.
achieved that thing, and then you stopped it and went to Asia for a year.
Mhm.
What was your support? Were you supported? What was the messaging that you were getting from the people at home? And how did you handle that, whatever it was?
At that time, I was not supported because no one really understood. Nobody else had done this in my circle, my family. Um, we had in my family, we have people who are close, and then we have people who are like we don't see them, we don't hear them until they get sick, right? Nobody understood me wanting to go and live a different way, but still be a part of the family, right?
Mm,
So no, I would say I wasn't supported. The main question was, is she losing her mind? Right? Is she breaking down? Is this a breakdown? Right? Is this a breakdown? Is Sad Stephanie finally just giving in to it and just breaking down? And so I just tried to explain once, right? One time. I'm going to do a thing. There are other people out in the world who do the thing, and it's perfectly normal to some people to live this way. I'm going to live this way for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back. But no, I didn't have support at that time. Even the online community that I was in, because I was, always because I was convinced I wasn't a people person. I wasn't engaged in the community. So I was a lurker. I watched, but I wasn't engaged. So I didn't even have the opportunity. I didn't give myself the opportunity to even let them support me in any way, right? Not even with
mm.
you can do it, right? Because I never spoke up. So I did not have support at the time. Um, but I still knew that it was possible.
How? Because what I'm sitting here thinking is often when we as Black women want to explore
Mhm.
a different way of living,
Yeah.
the messaging is,
Yeah.
are you losing your mind?
Yeah.
So, what do you think made you, after numbing out for all the previous years,
Uh-huh.
right? Because what I heard was you were a person that was going down the conveyor belt. That's what I call it. I call it the conveyor belt. We were all on the conveyor belt. So
Yeah.
you were going down the conveyor belt, doing what you were told, striving for the things that you were supposed to strive for, waiting to get the prize at the end, which was 65 in your mind.
Yes.
And right, like you were like, the prize is at 65. At 65, I will be able to do something.
Yes.
And whatever's at the end of the conveyor belt. And everyone else was applauding that.
Mhm.
And then you decided to burn the conveyor belt.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
And people were like, she's losing her mind,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of us hear. And I'm sure a lot of women who may want to transform their lives
Mhm.
could be hearing that.
Yes.
What got you beyond that messaging?
I knew I wasn't losing my mind.
Mm,
It just felt right. I felt like I was moving in the right direction. There are times when I've tried to do things that weren't right for me, that weren't aligned for me. And it was just always a struggle. And things really worked out really well during this planning process. I don't know if you need things to work out really well to know that you're moving in the right direction. I don't mean that, but that's just how things were for me. That was a sign that for me, if I needed that sign, that was the sign that I got. That things just started falling into place for me. And I knew I was no less out of my mind than I had been for the last 15 years, right? Like at worst, I'm the same, right? I knew that much. If I could pay this mortgage, pay this car payment, right? If I had enough mind to do that, I had enough mind to go to Thailand and, get swim on the beach, swim on the beach, right? I knew at least I wasn't any worse off than where I was. I felt like I was living the worst case scenario. And so I'm gonna try it. Let's try it. Let's try to live out the dream. Even though, like, seriously, I really did think it was 1 year. Let's try to live out 1 year of the dream.
you said that you were already in
Yeah.
a mind losing situation.
Yeah.
And I am speechless. Okay. I'm supposed to be asking you questions, and it took a second for me to process that. So, what I heard was you are already aligned with struggle,
That's right.
which is the messaging that all of us get. And we accept alignment with struggle and grinding and striving and things not feeling comfortable and right. We think that that's supposed to be the norm. And
Mhm.
you decided to align yourself with flow and fluidity and ease
Mhm.
and see what that felt like
Yeah.
because you were already in a mind losing situation. Girl, that listen, I feel goosebumps. That was for me. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah. That's right. That's right. We if you've gotten to this point in your life, right, you don't need to you don't have anything to prove to anybody about what you can take or what you can withstand. Live. Live for
That's
you and for live for you.
that's so good. Okay, so you come back, a year has passed. What happened after that?
I came back with very little money, so I did have to get a job. Originally, when I left, my plan was to move to a city. I thought my big transformation was going to be I'm going to go to all these places. I'm going to live life without a car for a year. I'm going to come back and I'm going to move to a city where I don't need a car. That was
Mm.
my big plan for my life. That was how I thought I was going to blow up my life. Go back to working in a hospital pharmacy, but in a city where I didn't need a car. Turns out by the time I got on that plane to come back to the US, I was not interested in any of it. Forget it. Forget the work. Forget the pharmacy. Forget the Metro cards. I don't want any of it. So seriously, I Googled how to travel with no money. Google was like, you should be a house sitter. At the same time, I started a virtual assistant business so I could make money anywhere and be anywhere. This was late 2016. Actually, I came back and did work for 3 months. I did have to get a job for 3 months to get some money. I worked for 90 days to make a little bit of money while I started my virtual assistant business and while I started house sitting. By that time I knew too much had changed, right? Too much had changed. I got back into the United States and I'm like, this place sucks. All that time, I had no problems with it. I had no problems with the US. Get gone for 1 year and come back. And I'm like, oh, we live like this? Y'all rushing and are in a sense of urgency all day like this?
Mm.
Y'all drink your coffee while you're walking? Y'all don't sit down and enjoy your coffee? Like everybody else in the world, to-go coffee is just so American, right?
Mhm.
Sit down and drink your coffee. Sit down and eat your lunch. Y'all drive in your cars and eat. You know, all them buses I took all over Southeast Asia, all over Latin America, you look into people's cars in those countries, they're not eating in their car
Mhm.
because they're sitting down and enjoying their meals. We eat in the car because we have to rush. Everything is urgent. And we have to work 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs, right? I was like, I'll pass. I don't want this. Thank you.
Okay, you say get somebody else to do it. So you go overseas, you come back. I think on the thumbnail I said how Stephanie met herself and transformed her life.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you met yourself? And who did you meet?
Absolutely. So I met the friendly me who I really feel connected to everybody, right? Except for the people I don't like, right? But I feel a connection, a kinship with people in other places. When I go to places, okay, we're together now. We're in community now. I met the me who is a part of the world's community. I also met a person who we'll try something. Try. I met the person who has agency, who feels like, this is my life to live. I'm going to do some things and not just wait on some things. All of those things. I met more joy, Stephanie, right? I met the version of me who really enjoys joy. I met the me who doesn't apologize for doing as little as possible. I was always going to do as little as possible, but I did try to sometimes try to hide it and pretend like pretend like I want a promotion,
Mhm.
pretend like whatever. I never wanted that stuff. Pretend like I'm going to go to grad school. Like I said, I'm not even sure if I graduated, but every now and then I'd be like, well, maybe I'll start grad school. Can you even start grad school? I don't know. I was pretending.
I've started it twice, by the way, so
Right. Pretending. And then I got to give all that up. I got to really languish in being a person who's going to do as little as possible instead of pretending like that's not the way that I'm doing things.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
All those
good.
things. A lot. I got like a whole person. Seriously, a whole person. I met a whole person. Um,
Yeah, I met this version of you, so whenever you describe the previous version of you, it's so hard for me to visualize or because of the you that I've met after the transformative experience. Okay, so I have a question for you.
yeah.
While you were having this experience, were there any specific things that you did that you think fostered this happening? Like, for example, when you travel, did you have any internal rules like, I'm just going to try something new at least once a week, or I'm going to talk to a stranger when I'm out? Like, did you do any specific practices or things that you think helped you?
My original plan was I'm going to do some sort of combat sport in every country. Southeast Asia, a lot of different combat sports, Muay Thai, right? I didn't do that. Okay. Between combat sports or just like water sports, I wanted to try different things, learn, because I'd never scuba before, never scuba. No, I had scuba dive, but I wanted to do some stuff. I was going to do some more active things. I did do a handful of them. I never took Muay Thai lessons, but I did do a handful of things that helped me meet strangers. I didn't go into it saying I'm going to meet and talk to strangers, but I did say I'm going to do some things. I did some volunteer work, did some work exchanges, stayed in hostels, stayed in dorm rooms, and those things helped me meet strangers. And that was really helpful. Like forming even one day community with people was really helpful in me, like seeing a different side of me. So like staying in a hostel, you just come downstairs at breakfast time, or even inside of the dorm room, if it's all women in particular, inside the dorm room, people are like, here's where we're going today. Do you want to go?
Mhm.
Yes, I do want to go. right? So doing those kinds of things were really helpful, but that's not the thing that I set out to do. I did set out to do volunteer work, and I think I wanted to do volunteer work at least every quarter, like do like a week or two of volunteering every quarter that I was gone. And I did do that. And that was really helpful to meet people as well. But I didn't have like seriously, I did not go on this trip. I didn't go on that trip to find myself. I went on the
Mhm.
trip to take some beautiful pictures for Instagram, right? To see some places that I had never seen before. See the places on my screensavers. That was it. I didn't expect a transformation. And so I didn't go into it planning to have a transformation. I just
Mhm.
wanted to take some pictures, read some books, hammock, right? Learn how to get in and out of a hammock gracefully. That was about it. That was as much growth as I was expecting.
So what was it about the trip that you think fostered this unexpected awareness and transformation? Was it the alone time?
Mhm.
Was it the planning it by yourself? Was it just the span of time? What gave you weren't expecting it,
No,
but you got it anyway.
got
What
it.
was it?
It was a whole lot of alone time, a whole lot of free time to hear my thoughts, right? A whole lot of time to hear what was going on in my brain. That I think that was the main thing. And then it was also like just overcoming like the daily difficulties of being a foreigner in a place where you don't know how things operate, right? Those that gave me, really did get some power that way, right? I felt like bring it on. But seriously, it was that free time. It was the free time to hear, to decide, right? So hear what's in my brain, just and then ask myself, why do I think that? Why am I thinking that? And then do I want to keep thinking that? And then how do I get rid of that thought? Right? Over and over and over again for a year. That was the main like driver of my transformation.
Most of us do not know ourselves or take time to hear ourselves. I have a friend once who was trying to learn how to meditate, and she told me she couldn't do it because every single time she sat down to meditate, she would start weeping. And her mom had just passed away.
Mm,
And I told her, I said, she was like, "Well, I'm doing it wrong." And I said, "No, no, I think you need to weep."
yeah.
So I I'm always fascinated because so many of us, and what you described about your experience and my lived experience is we just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think some of us don't want to stop
That's right.
because we are afraid of what we might hear
That's right.
in the pause. So you said, I just heard you say, because you listen, sad Stephanie who went on this trip.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you went over there, saw a beautiful scene, took a nice picture, and everything changed, and you had the most amazing year, right? Sad Stephanie was over there
Mhm.
now in a pause, solving problems on her own
Yeah.
and able to hear herself.
Yeah.
Are Can you share maybe one or two things that you were hearing? Because you just said you were hearing something over and over and over.
Uh-huh.
And what you did to almost like reprogram yourself. One of the questions I have written down is you always say that you speak to yourself and others with loving kindness. And
Yeah.
I wrote down, did you always speak to yourself that way? Okay, so
Oh.
talk about how that happened.
No, I was my own bully. No, even before I went on this trip, but not long before I went on this trip, one day I heard myself saying to myself, "Everybody but you," right? And I realized that since I had lost a baby back in 1997, so probably for 20 years, anytime I heard someone else was expecting, I would say to myself, "Everybody but you." So I knew that there was some self-talk in here that I didn't want to keep. And what I did to stop saying that, I think, was instead, when I would hear something, I would say, I just replace it with an affirmation. The source of all abundance is within me, right?
Mm.
And so I use affirmations to like reprogram that talk. So during the trip, when I would hear something, what was that your question? But
Yeah.
when I would hear something, that's what I would do. I would work. give myself something that I could say over and over again until I no longer just in quiet heard myself saying that, right? I kind of just tried to create a new program, right?
Mm.
Have something else playing on autoplay instead of that. I did things like that. Read a lot of books. I don't know that I guess I would call it meditation. So since you said you probably wasn't doing it wrong, then I did a lot of meditation and reading, quiet time, affirmations, so that I didn't come back with that same stuff in my head.
I have heard that when women take time off, have long stretches of time by themselves,
Yeah.
create an intentional pause, it is not uncommon for all kind of stuff to be start coming up, flying up, and they don't anticipate that.
Yeah.
How important was addressing past wounds in your transformation versus present and forward minded? Okay, let me go back. Last week when I did my video, I was talking to people about accountability versus blame versus fault versus blah, blah, blah. And I was sharing with them that blame and fault is very past focused.
Yes.
And accountability is very present and future focused, right? They're all about responsibility for what's going on. And so when I perceive you, when I experience you, you seem very present and future focused. I
Mhm.
don't hear you. I mean, you say stuff about what past
Anymore.
Stephanie was rolling in, but like you don't get stuck there. And
Yeah.
as a person who had to have that realization of like, girl, you getting stuck
Uh-huh.
trying to prove to the past,
Uh-huh.
how much of that did you do? Because I got stuck in the past stuff. Okay. And I had to eject myself out of that and say, girl, stop trying to fix the past and focus here. Whereas you seem almost like a natural. I'm like, how much of that did you do? And how important was that? Or was it more about staying in the present, making a new decision and creating something going forward?
The end, staying in the present. So I guess I have enough experience with seeing myself and other people ruminating over the past,
Mm,
right? And that that's not the approach that I took. I'm not saying it wasn't the right approach, but my approach was, okay, we start today. Okay, we start from here and we go forward. Um, Also, I am a writer in my mind. Right, I'm a writer. Let me say that.
you
I'm a
are a
writer,
writer. Sorry,
and
that was aggressive. I apologize. Let me not.
I receive it. And so writers settle scores. So I have written some stuff to be able to settle some scores. That's as much as I've done about addressing past things. I've written some stuff, right? Um, I don't know that I did a whole lot of going back. I can go back and like pinpoint this is why. Here's probably why I say this to myself over and over again. Why do I say this, or why do I believe this, or why do I think this about myself? I can go back and figure that out. But mostly I'm focused on, okay, starting here, how do I not keep that? The, I think we're talking about the same thing, but I think it's just, I don't know.
No, I think that that's part of the power of your transformation, and at least this is, my assessment. Part of
Mhm.
the power of your transformation and why you've been able to do what you've done in your own life and then almost like spread it all over all these other women is because you're present and future focused
Yeah.
in a way that fosters hope in others and
Mm.
helps them see, what was it from Exodus Summit? The possibility modeled.
Possibly model. Yeah.
Right? So I'm fascinated by that because if you were sad Stephanie, that means that you had the propensity to get stuck. If you were walking around saying everybody but me, you had the past focus ability to ruminate and get stuck.
Yeah.
And something happened. And I think that that's so powerful because I also noticed that for me, that's part of my transformational journey,
Uh,
that shift from looking at the shadow side of an experience to the
mhm.
light side of the experience. And I was just curious. I was like, I wonder how Stephanie sees that because sad Stephanie all of a sudden one day woke up.
I think it's the agency. I think this is back to agency. I think it's once I real the reason that I stayed sad Stephanie and ruminated over everything I didn't have, everything I lost, everything I messed up, was that I didn't see any way to fix it, right? But also any way to get out of the situation, get out of it, right? But once I saw that I can make a plan to do something that at the time seemed impossible. It was $14,400, but at the time it seemed impossible. I can make a plan to do that. I think that agency over that part of my life freed me from the rumination. It freed me from being tied to the sadness and this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's agency. I think that's being able to execute this thing in my life set me free from the other stuff.
Yeah. So what are your new habits? Like, are there any new things that you do now? Well, before, let me, yeah, go with that. Sorry. I was going to go to a different question, but what are your new habits? Like, how do you show up now that was just impossible in a previous version of you?
I make effort. I take real efforts. I make real attempts to connect with people, to form community with people individually, not just in large groups online, right? But individual people, which is something that I wouldn't have done in that part of my life. I Sometimes I do a little bit of, I think there is some planning for the future that is unhealthy. I think sometimes I get into an unhealthy mode of being future focused.
How so?
Um, because it's always, like I said, I'm not good at using compounding interest to my benefit. So I'm always starting over and planning this thing for the future. I'm always starting over, planning this thing for the future. Instead of, like, Stephanie, if you had done this yesterday, right? If you get up and go for a walk today, then you're
Mhm.
building on that tomorrow instead of always starting over walking, right? Instead of always starting over from zero. I am a little bit future focused to my detriment, I think, but I do spend a lot of time living in the future in my day, right? When I'm in a house sit, I'm hardly ever in 2024. I am in 2027 on
You're
my
in yacht,
yacht.
your yacht, Stephanie?
I'm on the yacht, right? I get to live in the future. That's what I do, right? A whole lot of Michael Bernard Beckwith would call it visioning, I think,
Mhm.
right? Live in that for the day. Um, it's been helpful, but I think I may overdo it, is what I'm saying. But spending some time living in the future, feeling those feelings, helps me, is also like a practice, a habit that I have. But a new habit that I have is I form community on purpose, um, because that is the difference maker.
Okay, 2 things. 1, I think it's powerful because a past focused life can feel like a very hopeless and tethered life. And a future focused life can give you hope, something to positive and aligned to strive toward.
Mhm.
That's a vision. And yes, you can overdo it though, because the future focus has to be anchored in present
That's
decisions. So I think that's what you're saying, because if you're only future focused, then Delulu is really your Salulu and you're not
right.
gonna get there. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Right. I get what you're saying. Now
That's
here's the question. You said that community has been the difference maker. How so? What is the impact of your intentionality for connection and community on this transformation?
I don't know what it's like for other people, but being a Black woman and being in community with Black women, it feeds us. It feeds us. It's just as important. I'm just as important as the food we eat, as the sun that we soak in. Just as important is the community that we have with other Black women. Um, I could still be, so if I came back from that trip and still did things the same old way and didn't really connect with people, didn't really form friendships with intention, didn't really do that kind of stuff, I think I could still make some progress towards like my dream life. But why? What would the fun be? Where would the joy be? Where would the, yeah, would it, and where would the contentment and the satisfaction be? Uh, yeah. And so that's why I do it on purpose. Uh, yeah, as best I can. Yeah, listen, I don't know what it's like for other people. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But being in community with Black women is like nothing else. I've always had community with Black women, even in Ohio, even in Columbus, Ohio. There were girls in my church who pulled me into their circle, right? But I didn't use it I didn't use it as needed, right? When I was in Sad Stephanie phase, I kind of cut that out, shut that off, and I missed it. And it's amazing. It really does feed us. It really does. Like it's just as important as those other things in our lives. Hey, Maya Spikes Rates.
You know what? Okay, so I agree. And I believe that you said you don't know what it's like for other people.
Yeah.
And often you will hear a lot of like, I can't be friends with other women, no new friends, and all that messaging.
Yeah.
And I have never had that experience. That's never been my lived experience, although I understand that people have it and it's common enough that it's like a trope.
Yeah.
But I want to offer anybody listening to this, if you heard the conversation earlier, there is a choice to be made about how you approach things.
Mhm.
There's a shadow side to stuff, and there's a light side to stuff, right? And if you, what's the word? If you approach things in your life, including community and relationships with others, through your pain, it'll become your personality and you'll have the shadow side of the experience, right? So what you hear Stephanie saying is she chooses to go on the light side. I'm sure that being the community builder that you are, we haven't even really got into that, but like she's a co-founder of Exodus Summit. They have a Facebook group with thousands of Black women that are traveling, moving abroad. They have her and her co-founder have a annual summit. It's the largest summit?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
So
is.
she's a community builder.
Yeah.
Okay. She spends a lot of time creating spaces for Black women to thrive in an aligned way, to travel, to meet themselves, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that it's not always peaches and sunshines because human.
Yeah.
Because human's human, but it's kind of a choice.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So listen, when you have a business partner, you can pass the bad stuff off to the business partner. I don't deal too much with negative stuff in the
You
community.
said you're good cop and she's bad cop. You doing that
Yes.
to Rosita?
There's 14,000 women in the Exodus Summit community. And listen, I can't name 2 names of troublemakers. Okay. So that's not my department. Okay. That's not my department. But yeah, listen, just like you said, I understand that there are people who have negative experiences with people and then they keep that with them. But there is so much more to be gained from starting again, right? Start again, try a new way. If we keep living our lives alone, I mean, without community, because there are people who really pride themselves on not participating in community, right? Including I'm not on social media gang, right? Oh, I'm not on social media. Okay, that's fine. But where then? Where do you go to share and to receive, to give and to receive? There's got to be some place.
Do you
So
think that some of that pride comes from struggle? Like there's a pride in announcing that you did things yourself and you
yes,
didn't have any assistance with it? Like almost like, look at me.
yeah.
I did this all by myself. The hardest, longest, most struggle way. Prizes, please.
I think I've never thought about that, but they probably are very related, right? Um, there is a big lie. There's a big lie out in the world, in particular in the United States of America, that doing things yourself is more noble. But what do they give you? Nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing for doing it on your own. You get nothing for not having community with other people. You get nothing for not having mentorship or being a mentor, right? You get nothing.
And you
Uh,
learn when you travel. See, I'm from the Virgin Islands. Stephanie has traveled all over the world. I've traveled not as much, but I've traveled all over the world. You learn that community and communal ways of living, communal culture is very common everywhere else.
yeah.
People are interconnected. If I go to the Virgin Islands right now and I stay in a home, like a rental home or an apartment right now,
Uh-huh.
I could barely sleep in because my family knocking on the door. Clack,
Yeah.
clack, 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 inside. I need you to do this. I want to drop off this. Can you like it's we
Here's
just
the
like
big
this.
fish. Here's
Girl,
the
we
big
like
fish.
this. Yeah, my sister pulled over one day and gave me a fish. I'm sorry. And my husband was like, what we supposed to do with this? And I was like, we're not gonna cook it, but we put it in the freezer and then we could give it to somebody else. And then you pass it on. You know, you have to people here are so hyper individual culturally that there I feel like that's part of what you're noticing, Stephanie. There is almost like some pride in I pulled myself up by my bootstraps.
Yeah.
I did it myself. You did it.
You fell for the big lie. You fell for the okie doke. What I hear, okay? You're thinking that we should applaud you for that. What I hear is I fell for the okie doke. I live in a country where these people did not earn what they have, right? Where these people stole what they have and then told me that the way to be successful is to work hard on your own, right? These people enslaved people to grow a country, and then it convinced those formerly enslaved people that the way to succeed is to work hard by yourself, right? They didn't do anything for themselves. You fell for the big lie. That's what I hear, right?
Mhm.
You want applause for doing things on your own. You want applause for being the sole person who did whatever. All I see is I fell for the big lie. When you go to other places, these people are in community with each other. Right. I was just in Grenada, and the man who picked us up at the airport, picked me up at the airport, drove me to the Airbnb. The people on the street knew him. He was taking care of the Airbnb, but he didn't own it, which I thought he did. I thought a Black person owned it, but they tricked me on the thing. But anyway, and people on the street knew him, and he stopped and said hi to him. So let me tell you, we get to that house, and he's talking about here's how you turn on the alarm, and I'm like, we don't need this alarm. Everybody on this street knows you and knows this house. We protected. Okay, we're saying what alarm? I didn't arm that alarm one time, right? I am now interconnected. We are interweaved together in community. I'm going to rely on that. I'm going to let that work for me in a place where I know it can work for me. It's such a small island, right? Everybody, like everyone asked, whose house are you staying in? Because they know everybody on the island, right?
And the okey doke of America is the people at the top of our system didn't start from the beginning. They got a small loan of $1 million from their father. They
Right?
got properties and land. They've never worked a day in their life. And so the fact that the messaging that you are priding yourself on is to struggle from the start and then announce that you got yourself up an inch up the hill
Yeah.
is not conducive to not only the rest of the world, but it's not conducive to how the people at the top of our system actually got where they were.
That's not how they got there.
That's not
That's
how they
not how
got
they got
there,
there.
girl. They living in a mommy house, okay?
That's right. That's
They
right.
live in anyway. So, okay, as a as a coach, because I know you coach women on how you are a professional house sitter and you coach women on how to house sit. As
Yes.
a content creator, you have a really successful YouTube channel, and as a community builder with Exodus Summit, you work with Black women all the time. What are some of the common challenges that you have noticed for Black women who are attempting to transform their life or heal their relationships with like their current self to become someone else? What are the challenges that keep coming up?
It's hard to heal your relationship with yourself If you're more focused on your relationship with people who don't want you to heal your relationship with yourself.
Well. Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Well, my God, on today. Okay, go Steph.
Yes. Okay. I'm not okay. I don't know. I don't listen. I'm not here to give you solutions. I'm telling you this. Okay. I'm here to let you know how you can address, how you can notice some problems. The solution is up to you. But if you're spending more time with focused on on that relationship, knowing good and well that they don't want you to change, to grow, to heal, you're not going to heal. You're not going to heal. Listen, Black women love to tell me that they want to do something for themselves, but I love my kids, right? We're talking about women my age, right? Your kids are 25 years old. Your kids are fine. You don't have to tell me that you love your kids because you want to start living your life on your own terms, right? This is not an either or. You don't have to, I do not expect you to sacrifice the whole of your life for some other people. But Black women, that's the thing. I'm like, girl, them kids are grown up. You have grandkids, okay? You don't have to say, I love my kids, right? Because you're talking about doing a new thing in your life. I know you love your kids. This ain't got nothing to do with them. This ain't got nothing to do with them. So that's a thing. Being so focused on your relationship with them that you can't spend any time focusing on your relationship with you. Some women's children have to push them out of the nest. Push the mom out
I'm
of the
telling you
nest.
it's because the mom don't know who she is.
Yeah.
Her entire identity
Yeah.
is she's the role she plays in other people's lives.
Yeah.
All into her 50s, 60s, 70s, and and beyond.
Yeah.
So many of us, me included, this was something that happened early in my life. So many of us, all we know is we're so and so's wife, we're
Yeah.
so and so's mom, we're so and so's friend, we're so and so's deacon,
Yeah.
deaconess, all of the roles.
Mhm.
And we cannot, if you sit us down and say, give me characteristics of you, that
Mm-mm. They're not there. Yeah.
we ain't there yet. And
No.
that's what Stephanie's talking about. And that's how the healing starts. Because the same kid that you won't move because you love them, I promise when they hit 27, they gone. They gonna leave you. They gonna go somewhere. That's like a leaving. They gonna live somewhere else. You're gonna be
Yeah.
like, where you going?
That's right. That's right. Right? Because they understand that this is their life. They have to live their life.
Especially this generation.
Yeah.
They got listen, TikTok told them that they could go. Okay. And they out. So you at the house holding on to your 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom house, and it's just you or you and
Right.
your husband in there, thinking you gonna pass this house down, not realizing that they decided long time ago that they was gonna sell that house
Yeah.
if you passed it to them.
They're not gonna keep that house. Okay. So you might as well use the money. That's your money. Right. We also have to work on, I think, Black women also have to work on because we do feel, I think Black women feel more connected to other people than most people do. I think we feel where there's something more in us, that we do feel a connection to other people. And that means we do feel a responsibility to other people. So we're really tied in the struggle work, right? The work of fighting racism, inequality, right? We're so tied to that work that we don't understand that you can clock out. We just refuse to clock out of the struggle work sometimes. And that's another thing that has to happen so that you can heal yourself, so that you can meet yourself. You clock out, right? You work, okay, congratulations, your judge, congratulations, whomever, right? Congratulations on that. Now, when are you going to clock out? When are you going to put that down? Is that supposed to be your entire life? I don't think so. So giving up the struggle work is also, I think, a necessity. If you're going to take some time, find the real you in there, you're going to have to clock out.
I was talking to Danny about this. Danny went no contact.
Yeah.
And I forgot what the question was. She asked me about basically the same concept you were just saying. And I said, but everyone's not going to do that. There is a contingent of Black women who cannot conceptualize
No.
not being the bedrock on which everything is built. It is their mandate. And she kind of looked at me like, I never thought of it that way. I said, the way that you're describing it, it's almost like everyone's going to do it. And one day there'll be like this huge awakening. I said, I believe that there is a huge awakening happening right now. And there's a large contingent of us that are coming to this realization that it is not our job to fix everything, to save everyone, to all of that. I said, but girl, you know good and full well that the identity, the value proposition is so deeply woven into us. What do you always say? It's fruit off the slavery tree.
That's
like
right.
Your value is in the work that you bring to this thing, and there will be some prize. It's unfortunately, it's not fully going to go entirely away. But if you're listening to us talk, we want you to be one of the women where the lights start coming on and you realize you don't have to. You know what? The reason why what you said just made me say an aha is because I've been getting mind your business coming into my spirit from every direction. Okay. Like to the point that it's kind of intrusive, God. Like I really need to, I don't know what, And what I'm realizing is most of the times nowadays, Stephanie, when I have some agitation on the inside, I feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed out. I feel like I'm stuck. All of these negative emotions, I can probably tie back to the fact that I am thinking about somebody else, worrying about somebody else, focused on what somebody else is doing, trying to control what somebody else is doing, trying to understand how how they're responding to me. It's almost like God is like, girl, mind your business.
Yeah.
Create your life. Like mind your business. It just keeps so when you said that, and you were like, you can't focus on your healing when you so busy all over the place. And I was like, there we go again. He's punching me in the face. And it's so true.
Tell him you got it. You got it. I heard you. Okay.
Girl, I got it, sir, please.
That's
sir,
right.
Relax. Okay. But like, it's such a true statement because we feel this, we're programmed to be the base on which everything is built. And we don't know that we don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Those women who you're jealous of, just instead of being jealous of them, or you're like, you see a woman who is just flitting around the world or flitting through the life, flitting through your Thanksgiving dinner, right? She ain't bring nothing. She ain't doing nothing, right? Instead of being angry with her, okay, model her. Okay, do it that way, right? You know somebody. You're like, why don't she can't help? Why don't she do this? Why don't she help with that? That's me and my family and my life, right? Instead of being angry with her, copy her for just a little while. See how good it feels. You'll love it. You'll love it.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to a Black woman that wants to blow up her life? No. What advice would you give to a Black woman that wants to transform her life?
I'm okay with saying blow it up because some Black women want to blow it up, right? I've been trying my hardest to get together a few women who want to talk about their desire to run away from home, because I know that there are Black women who are in their minds saying, I want to run away from home, right?
What do you mean? Say more.
When I was in the Army, I worked with a woman whose best friend ran away from home. These women were probably in their mid 40s at the time. They had they both had adult children living at home. They had adult husbands at home, and the woman just ran away. She
You mean just picked up and left the whole situation?
Left them all there, right?
Forever or for a moment?
For long enough that it transitioned from, is she missing, to, oh no, she ran away. Right? Long enough for that. And this was the friend of the woman I worked with. The woman I worked with was so mad at her. I'm like, her name was Kathy, but everybody's name is Kathy. I was like, Kathy, Miss Kathy, instead of being mad at your friend, maybe you should just join her, because y'all got the same stressors right in your lives. Maybe you're so mad at her because she did something you wish you could do. I said that in my mind to myself. I did mind my business. But there are women who just want to do that. We can work on a way that you can work. Listen, I'm not here to. You can work on with Roshini a
Stephanie said,
way.
"I don't. That's not my ministry
That's
thing.
not what I
As
do.
little as possible."
But y'all can work on a way. You said so. Whether however you want to say it. If you want to say blow up your life, if you want to say run away from home, whatever you want to say, reinvent yourself. Right? I'm here for any of it. It's all going to lead you to the same end, which is you. Right? So I'm here for however you say it. I'm here for it. But your question was, what is my advice to the woman who's
Mhm.
feeling like that? Take a step. Like seriously, take a step. Happiness, Tony Robbins, who I don't, is he a good person? Who knows? But he says happiness is hope plus progress.
Mm.
I lived that. That was me. Happiness for me was hope plus progress, was and continues to be. So get a hope. If your hope is, I wish I could blow up my life. I wish I could run away from home. I wish I could reset. I wish I could start again. Make some progress on that thing. Get it, hold on to it as a real hope instead of just a wish. Make it a real hope, a real plan, a real thing that you're moving towards, and then make progress on it. Now, I'm not a coach. I'm not a therapist. I don't do those things. Okay. Roshni would love to help you with those things, but do it. My advice to a woman who's thinking those things is, friend, do it. Because one day you're going to come to your last day.
Well,
Do it. This is not the dress rehearsal. I say that to people all the time. We live like we're going to get another chance. Maybe we will. I don't know everything. Maybe we will get another chance, but I think we have to live like we're not. Okay. We need to live like this is it. Take this, get agency, exercise agency over your life, because this is your life. Everybody else at some point, they're going to start living their lives. And if you've sacrificed your life for them, you're going to be so mad. You're going to be so mad when they start living for them.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
pick it
I
up.
used to say in my head, you know how you said you would say everybody but me. I would look at those women in my like 20s and early 30s, and I would say in my head, why do they get to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes we got to listen to the voices in our head because we're talking to ourselves all the time and we're just taught to ignore. We're just taught to ignore those voices. And real talk, those voices are trying to tell you something. It's like the lights on the indicator of your dashboard of your car, right? They're not driving the car, but they sure pointing to something. Something needs to be addressed. Those emotions and those feelings are not supposed to be like driving your life, but they absolutely point you to something. So if you have a ruminating thought like that, um pay attention. Okay, I totally got to talking to you and barely put anybody's comments up on the thing, so I want to say hi to some of these wonderful women that
I
have
love
been
wonderful women.
excited. Hi Maya, hi Rhonda, hi Lori. Let's see, Prophet Mother, nice to see you. Kima or Kimi, Shelly Ann, yeah, hello. Hi boo boo. Oh, I'm hitting my mic. Okay, who else? Donna. Yeah, people talking about agency. Donna said that's a t-shirt. There's no reward in doing the most.
You get nothing. Okay. You get nothing. Ain't no parade. Okay.
You get like this mild applause from the other doing the most people and struggle in lack of sleep. It's just the prize isn't prizing. You know what I mean?
No,
The
no.
prize is not prizing. Real attempts at connection with people and community is something I really need to work on. And you can work on it, Olalinka, because I started making an intentional choice a few years ago, almost to reseed
Oh,
my community with intentional people that I wanted. I before that I was very much no oars in the water. A lot of the community that I had around me was just a function of similar schedules,
uh-huh.
work,
Uh-huh.
church, you know what I mean? And you
Uh-huh.
just kind of defaulted to people. A
Yeah.
couple years ago, I started actually stalking some folks. Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember how I emailed you? I was like, hello, you. I like her very much. Y'all, I was in Stephanie's inbox, like, Hello, I like very much. Must talk to you. Everything you're saying, I like it very much. Listen. So
You said, hello, my name is Roshini and I have a YouTube. I said, girl, I know who you are. Okay.
she sure did.
I know who you are. Just be my friend.
She
We
wrote me
can
back.
get
She
through
was
all
like, we're
that.
friends now. I already know who you are. I was like, I like it very much. And I will reach out to her because the worst thing she could say is no. And as my mother said, you can't fall off the floor. Okay. The
This,
worst.
so this is a habit. You asked about habits. This is a habit that I have. I don't know if I was really clear about how I do that. I
Mhm.
invite people to join me places when I go someplace. I don't have to know her in in the real world. I invited Roshni to join me someplace. We never met, and we
No,
stayed together for
we
days
met
and
in the
days.
airport.
Right?
We met in the airport where I had picked up other strangers while I was walking towards you. So I was just out there meeting people.
Got off the plane with a friend, right? I take time to do that. For quite a while, I used to do friend dates, and I've kind of picked that up too. Just make a list of people that I want to reconnect with and get on the phone and call them. Until last year, I would actually go back and think about the time that I had spent with somebody and then just send them a thing. You were one of my favorite parts of the year, right? Thank you for that. I have a list, right? I make a list of people that I want to be friends with, and then I just become friends with them.
Listen, ain't a thing except that they can do except tell you no. And
That's right.
and a lot of times when you are being intentional, you start drawing to yourself people that are also being intentional. You will notice that um what the Bible says deep calls out to deep. It's like
Mhm.
before I didn't realize that I could be intentional with people.
Right.
But like you said, I'm doing friend dates too.
That's
I'm
right.
like you, us, me, brunch. Okay. I'm emailing people because creating connection enriches my life so much. And I am a person that has noticed that that is a strong part of my identity. Like, I don't want to do this by myself. Like, what's the whole point?
Yeah.
So, the same way that I was up in Stephanie's, I slid in the inbox and I was like, hello, you, me. And then I think we did the first live. And after the live, you were like, we're friends now. And I was like, see, I don't think she understands what she just said because we are actually friends. I don't know if she says that to everybody, but I mean it.
No, I don't. No, I do
I
not.
receive it.
Yeah, no, we're friends now. We don't have to do all that. We don't have to go back and forth, and ain't no awkwardness. We're friends. Just pick from. Okay, we're not going back. We just start
Right.
from
And then
today. We're gonna pick from today.
when I went to visit you and Katrina and I hit it off, I'm like, oh, also you. I will also keep you.
That's right. That's right. I have a friend named Katrina. Listen, Katrina is everybody. Listen, you can't, Katrina, if nobody ever taught me not to be territorial, Katrina has taught me not to be territorial. Because listen, if you meet Katrina, she is your friend. I'm like, but she's my friend. No, that's not
Listen,
how it works with her. She's helped me do that. Not be so
this
territorial.
perfectly wonderful Black woman right here. I will also have her. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right. She said, I believe community helps us anchor so we can explore future possibilities and live in the present. Absolutely. We are designed to
Yeah,
live amongst each other.
that's right. That's right. Have you ever seen an elephant give birth on the YouTube, right? An
Mhm.
elephant gives birth and the other elephants come from wherever they were. It don't matter how far away they are. They come in, they do the purr, purr with the trunks
Really?
and they help to get the baby up on its feet. And like elephants are better at community than we are, right? Elephants are doing it better than we are. We got to show these elephants how it's done.
Not
Okay. Don't let them outshow you, okay? They come from like you can't like elephants are huge, but they're coming out of the tall grass, coming out of the trees, right? They celebrate, they sound off, so
I'm gonna go
everybody
look for
knows it.
this now. I have to go look it up now when I
Watch it, right? If that's the thing. So as a child, I wanted to be an elephant. Seriously,
okay, now how
long
did we get here? Okay, go ahead.
long past the age of understanding that people do not become elephants. I wanted to
Okay.
be an elephant when I grew up.
Mhm.
And so I watched elephant things, okay? They're my animals, what I'm saying. But yeah, that's how they do it. We're not designed to be alone. We're not designed to do things individually. We're not designed to do things individually. And so why would we? If you are doing things individually, you fell for the okey doke. Fix it.
And you can change it. That's the other thing. Don't get stuck too much in the, well, I used to, it used to be, I don't have any, da 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 da. The one thing that is always true about each and every single one of us is we can change.
That's it.
Whatever it is. Okay, so I
That's
want to talk about Job Detox because Stephanie, who is a accomplished author,
yes.
okay, an accomplished author,
That's
has
nice.
written a book. It's called Job Detox, a framework for Black women to stop striving and get free. Can you talk about your book? Why did you write it? Who is it for? And give us some more information.
Even though I have always been a person who would do as little as possible, I knew I have quite a few friends who are striving and striving, who think that that is their pathway to something, to earning, to being seen as a valuable person, their pathway to success in some way. So I wrote a book to tell them, quit, okay? Quit your jobs, quit striving, and get normalized free time in your life and learn how to meet yourself, right? Learn meet yourself, and then learn how to be with yourself. Learn how to see the value in yourself. And so Job Detox is all about how we can stop centering work in our lives. Work is the sun in our solar system, but it's not supposed to be, okay? And so Job Detox is working through the steps of saying, listen, friend, you're overdosing on work. You're overdosing. When I was a hospital pharmacy technician, there was a protocol that we would take when a patient came in with a specific overdose, right?
Mhm.
You come in with a Tylenol overdose, you've got very little time to waste. We got to get these drugs in you. We got to get those drugs out of you. And so the Job Detox is a framework. It's some processes to help you get off the jobs, whatever that get off the job drug, and meet yourself. Job Detox right now is not out in the world, but there is a wait list so that you will find out when it is out in the world. It'll be very soon. If you're watching the replay, hello, friends in the future, it may exist by now. It may be in the world for sale by now.
I dropped it in the comment section on at least YouTube and Facebook. I know will let me do that. There is a link, vicarious.com/job detox, so that you can get yourself on the wait list.
That's right.
And I don't know why I never thought about the fact that you were a pharmacy tech, and the word detox probably has so much more granularity to it than it does to me. And
Okay.
that is amazing. You said it and I was just like, duh, Roshini, that makes perfect sense. And so everybody who's watching this, get on the wait list. And I love the name of this book, by the way. I've
Yeah.
already been selling Stephanie's book. I'm selling it to people.
All right.
I'm in,
Sales,
I'm
more
in the
sales,
world selling it to humans. Okay, so get on the
sales.
wait list for Job Detox, you guys, so that you can learn to decenter your work and start your own transformational journey of finding yourself and living your actual life and not the life that was prescribed for you.
That's
Amen.
right. That's right.
Amen.
Amen.
Um, did we do it? Stephanie, is there anything else that you feel like saying before?
I think we did it.
I think we did it.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you guys, let's see, what do I have to tell you? My Create Your 2024 virtual planning retreat will be happening again starting February 16th.
Good.
You will have access to self-paced modules, coach-led videos, coach-led audios, and downloadable worksheets. There is no live Zoom component this time. However, I might put the replays from the previous 2 times. So if you are interested, bit.ly/virtual planning retreat to enroll. Enrollment will close on February 15th, and you will get access all the way through November to the modules, etc. So listen, I know that January is the Monday of the year for a lot of people, and 2024 might not have been hitting like it needed to. Okay, I got you, boo boo. I got you. bit.ly/virtual planning retreat. I like to create my life. I am very intentional about what I'm putting out here in the world and whose business I'm minding.
Uh-huh.
If you want to mind your business and create a plan, bit.ly/virtual planner retreat. Amen. Amen. Okay.
Amen.
So thank
Listen,
you, Stephanie.
can I say just a thing about
Go
this?
ahead.
This is a leap year. We get it.
Mhm.
This is a leap year. And this can be a time where you intentionally say, I'm going to make a leap in my life, right? You can make this a leap year for yourself. And you can start it, but you do need a plan, right? Start that with some planning. Decide that this is a time when you are going to execute agency over your life, over your future, over your year. It starts with quiet time, which Roshini is going to help you organize. Quiet time to think, to reflect, to plan, to execute. Don't let the conversation end, this video end, with you saying that was an amazing talk, and then you go on to still feel the way that we talked about used to feeling. Being, none of us are more deserving than you are towards living the life that we want to live. We don't deserve it any more than you do. And so get yourself in a space, in a place where you can get hope plus progress. Roshini, put this planning retreat together for you. Use it,
Well, I put it
please.
together for myself at first, okay? It
Yes.
was only for me. I was out here trying to win, and then people saw me winning and was like, "What was you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, y'all wanna win too?"
That's right.
So then I put it together for you, okay? But let me tell you, it's tried and true, and I still do it every year. Listen, it's for me. Y'all better come up here and get one of these, okay? I'm trying to
Yes.
I'm trying to help y'all get
Okay.
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 It links to everything that I mentioned, the wait list for Job Detox, the planning retreat, all of it in the information box on the platform. Stephanie, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you. Always, always, always super fun. I'll talk to you again real soon. Okay.
Okay, y'all. Be well, you guys. Be encouraged. Let me see. Which one do I want to show you? I have so many behind me, but I'm going to show you this one. Here's a pineapple. Bye, you guys. Bye.
Bye.